Peace be with you. I'm going to start with the prayer merging the heavens and the earth, which really has to do with understanding this Parshah Behaalotecha. Shem Yakud Kudashabihu Ushahinte Be Ilu Ilu Laiha Shem Yakud Lovke Yida Shem Shem Kozrael Kolam. Amen. Roughly translated, Behaalotecha means to light the flames, to rise the flames. So it starts with talking about the menorah. The menorah is the essential symbol of the Torah way. It tends to get forgotten a little bit, but it's the primary primordial symbol. Why is that? Well, at one level, there's a physical meaning of it. It's made out of one piece of gold, shaped into 7 flames, talking and sharing diversity, but coming back into one base. This is the actual meaning of unity within diversity. If you don't have a shared base, and everybody's operating with different rules, you're not going to have unity with diversity. You're going to have chaos with diversity, which is what we see in many places in the world. The concept of unity and diversity, which has been kind of co-opted, starts here. That people have a common base of understanding and have different levels of interpreting it. But they all run into the one. There's 7 candles, and it represents the cycle of 7 that we have, including Shabbat. With the center candle being the Shabbat candle. That's on one level. The Levites, Cohens, were directed to light the menorah every morning. Many levels of symbolism, but we'll start with Aaron's issue. Aaron was concerned because the other 12 tribes all got to make offerings, and immediately following that, Hashem says, Aaron, these are temporary. We're giving you the eternal offering. Pay attention here. And the eternal offering is that which really everybody does, which has the opportunity to do, is we light the lights, the rising flame of consciousness every morning. And the teaching is that we're not only doing in this physical world, but also Olam Haba, the world to come. That's the next plane up, because the heavens really are in essence, the astral plane, world of Yitzhak. But we are really talking about enlightenment. The flames rise up, the flames of consciousness rise up to enlightenment. So there's a full range with the lighting of light, enlightenment. So it's inherent, and this is very symbolic of the full range towards enlightenment through the heavens. The heavens are still in the world of time and space. Enlightenment is the world of Ein, the world of the nothing, beyond time and space. And I am this even. So we can understand that. Now, the third level of understanding is it's an eternal happening. Whereas the tribal offerings were done once, this is like the light of the divine that we light inside of ourselves for all of eternity. And it grows in consciousness. So it's a very, very simple thing. Now, not everybody's going to have a menorah to do this. But when we stretch our imagination a little bit, we can think about, first thing in the morning, lighting the lights, activating consciousness. We have even a little prayer. It says, "Thank you for returning my soul to me." So we're lighting the lights of consciousness, the lights of liberation, always. And that eternal light has been the source that has helped Israel go through the destruction of the temples, being removed from the land. It's something that's within us that keeps us independent of the external chaos that is always going on. So it's something we all have. It's a particular mitzvah or directive for the Kohen, or really the Levites, to do, because they are now considered the firstborn, and so they live as a sacrifice to the divine. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you're doing human sacrifice. Okay, let's get that straight. It means your life is a continual offering to the divine. And as a Levite, that's how I interpret it, is that it's a responsibility that everything I do is an offering to the divine. And it's that awareness. And so that's what was then and also now, because we don't really carry a menorah around with us, which actually isn't a bad idea, but we don't do that. Now, this is a very profound holding the light, but it doesn't stop there, because the light is something that everybody is to hold. It starts with the people who have that responsibility, but it's really meant for everyone. The more light that's created, the more people that light up every morning, the more we create the light that purifies the planet and allows the Messianic time to come forth. So it's really the light that lights all the other lights. You can think that way, and then we have a better understanding. So it's everyone's responsibility, if they so choose, to light that internal light every morning as part of the spiritual work. Now, kind of following that is a little diversion. What happens when people travel? First thing they do is they complain about the food. So we kind of look at it this way. Up until Bereshit 9:3, people were expected to be live food vegans, but that really wasn't happening. So after the flood, Noah was given permission, and people so choose to eat meat. People just weren't at the right level of consciousness. But here, Hashem is trying it again. We're not sure how many generations, about 15 generations later. Abraham was 10 generations, so we go about 15, where God is giving people, returning them to the original spiritual nutrition diet. And actually they were complaining about it. So anyway, here we are, we got 40, you're in the desert, we're doing the spiritual pilgrimage, we just broke away from spiritual slavery, as well as physical slavery, and now we're going to just go for the whole thing. Let's return to the full enlightenment path, including the diet. People complain, what about the meat? I'm missing the meat from Egypt. Moses just like just tearing his hair out. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. This is like, I just can't handle it. And so he complains to God, why did you give me this assignment? But okay. So Hashem says, look, I'm going to give you some help. Gather the 70 elders that you select, and you will then share the Ruach HaKodesh that I put upon you with the 70. It's really 72 because you have the 12 tribes, and the math really comes down to 72, so they had to choose which two would step aside. But two are pre-stepped aside and said, look, we're happy to just step back and allow this to happen. That was wonderful. So the flames of awakening come down, and you have a group, Ruach Kodesh awakening, flames and fire above the head, everything's really good. And people begin to prophesy. Now the group of the 70 only really did it in the immediacy, but the two who had stepped aside began to actually more actively prophesy, including the prophecy that Moses would not, ultimately he would die before entering the Promised Land. So there's a few pieces that come up in this. Well, what is prophecy? It said the prophecy stopped with the fall of the Second Temple. So we're talking two different things, and it's important to distinguish. The prophecy had the Ruach HaKodesh at a level where God speaks to them, and they're sharing that with the people. There's another level of prophecy that Mahal talks about. Hanwazato was an enlightened being in the Middle Ages from Italy, and it's that people have the Ruach HaKodesh and they're inspired by it, from inspired teaching, inspired writing, or just living inspired. He himself was enlightened, Hanwazato, as far as I can tell reading his books, and he's talking about that the power of the light of God is inspiring you all the time. Wow. It's like, So he's saying that's another level of prophecy, and they call it the voice of the daughter. Okay? And that is available to everybody all the time. And some people touch in it when they're playing music, or they touch in it in a variety of things. In the enlightenment state, we're carrying that sense of Ruach HaKodesh all the time. It's like there. It can be shared. So the people now have access to that. And the two who are prophesizing get really Yoshua a little upset. Look, they're prophesizing, they shouldn't be doing this, it's only going to you. And Moses says, no, you got it wrong. I want everybody to be prophets. I want everybody to have the connection with the Ruach HaKodesh. The point is, all of Am Israel should be awake and should be at that level. That would be my ideal. I'm paraphrasing it, but that's basically what God said. It's like the whole idea is the collective awakening, the collective enlightenment. So he was giving a very important teaching with that. I'll go back to the graves of lust because this is happening in the middle of that. So what happens is the people are told, look, you're going to get your meat, but you're going to get it in a very powerful way. The quail are going to, clouds of quail are going to die. They'll be piled up 2 cubits high, and you're going to eat this for 30 days until the meat is coming out your eyes and your ears and and as soon as people begin to eat, they begin to die. Now, maybe that's a little statement about of eating meat. Clearly, there's 7 Torah principles that go against the eating of meat. Okay, take care of your health, take care of your soul, protect the environment, non-cruelty to the animals, the overall survival of the community. So there are these things, and ultimately peace as well. So the plant source only diet provides for that. And I think it's important to know that in Israel today, I think there's about 13.5% of the population is now vegetarian. So people are moving in that direction. And ultimately the world will go that way because it's still a new way to protect the planet on many levels, ecological levels as well. So that is God, Hashem is like ahead of the curve, saying this is the diet best for spiritual life, best for protecting the planet. Let's pay attention here. Now here we are, 2018, and we're just beginning to wake up to how important that is. Okay, now that completes itself. People are running around with the Ruach Kodesh awake and not knowing exactly how to handle it. Moses is trying to give some level of teaching of how to handle the energy, because it does help to have an awakened spiritual teacher kind of guide you to awaken. Now, there's two other incidences in this that are, I think, really, really good teachings. One is Miriam is upset because Moses isn't fulfilling his marital responsibilities. And she gets Aaron involved and they go to challenge him. The issue is true in the sense that he's in the position where he has to be pure whenever God shows up, which could be any time. And usually people are given 3 days to purify, which means no sexual relations. So Moses is in position, so okay, this is where we are. I have to be available all the time, so obviously I can't be involved. I need to be celibate to make this work. Okay. So they don't quite get that, and so God appears and speaks to Miriam and Aaron, and says, look, you're not equal. There's just one Moses. I mean, yes, you're getting prophecy. Yes, this is true. But there's only one Moses. There's one person I speak to face to face. And you're really out of line. And I'm paraphrasing, obviously. And then the cloud lifts, and Miriam's there full of leprosy. Which is a pretty heavy thing because it's almost a death sentence. And Aaron and Miriam turn to Moses and say, help! And he prays with all his heart, loves his sister a lot, and and she's healed. Wonderful. But he says, look, you've really created a mess, and you really need to stay outside the camp for 7 days. Think about what you did. Now, they've already apologized, but we have to follow this kind of protocol because you've been defiled, even though you're purified at this point. So that goes on. She's outside the camp for 7 days, and then she's allowed back in the camp, and people move. The final teaching, there are a lot of teachings here, is Pesach Shene. What we call the second Pesach. So there's a group of men, small group of men, who were carrying, we don't know exactly, but carrying dead bodies, so they were impure, they couldn't participate in the Pesach. Whether they're carrying Jacob's bones or the other bodies and so forth, doesn't matter. So they say, and they had really strong intention. They said, we've got to participate in the Pesach ceremony, because this is like the biggest event that's ever happened, leaving Egypt. So Moses says, well, let me speak to God about it. And The immediate answer is fine. We're going to have a second Pesach. Everybody can be involved. So they're taken care of. The meta communication is much bigger. What is that? Well, you always get a second chance. No matter how much you miss the mark, there's always a second chance. And I think it's in Leviticus 16:30. It says, all your imbalances and sins before God will be removed. So it's right there. So it's automatic. But automatic means you have to take responsibility for missing the mark, do teshuva, meaning changing the way you're doing it, take responsibility for missing the mark, change the thought form that had you missed the mark, and it's cleared. So the principle of second chance is immensely important because it means we can clear. Now, the second part of these people who were pushing for the second Pesach is their will. They had very strong will, very strong intent, and that's what, in a sense, created that to happen, that Hashem understood their intensity to be part of the bigger picture, and I believe that kind of granted that. And then we can look at the will to return to the promised land after 2,000 years, and the ultimate will, the ultimate Pesach Shnei, is the will to know God. That's the ultimate. And so they were like a way of understanding that. It's like, okay, the ultimate is the intense will to know God as the most important thing. And that's really what these people were reflecting. And Shnei Pesach is what we're talking about. The second Pesach, the second chance. So there's a message here throughout this particular parsha is, okay, we always keep lighting the lights no matter what's going on. And we have that second chance to return to the truth, to return to Hashem. And may everyone be blessed that we take advantage. We have the will to create that second chance for ourselves. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Amen, amen, amen.